Larry the tractor guy. Good morning, guys. Getting ready to go this morning. Got truck started up. Just want to take a few minutes, show you what I do on my spare time. So these are all of my after-hour projects of my own. Tractors that I restore. We got a 720 LP here. Got some old Internationals. Got a little John Deere 270H, restoring, doing some paint work on. Got a pretty cool D model on steel wheels. That's another project tractor. Oh, shouldn't say this, but I do own a red tractor, 51 model International H. And my pride and joy, little 3020. And my help's ready to go this morning. Okay, we'll be headed out to the dealership this morning and see what we can get into today. So we're in the shop this morning. We've got a 8270R here that we're doing some work on. And one of the problems, one of the complaints is, and one of the problems we've had is we've had these ILS cylinders to crack right at the top of the cylinder on both sides. So I suspect that we have accumulator charge issue, and so we're going to check and charge the accumulators for the ILS. And I've got my ag tech guy here with me this morning, and he's going to help us out. This is Kyle Ship. Wave at him, Kyle. Okay. And so we're going to get on and start charging accumulators. So how much pressure do we have?
About 325.
See what your temperature is. About the same.
69.
Regulator all the way open. Okay. Now turn your regulator in and watch your gauge on your accumulator. Real slow.
Yeah, right in there.
Yep, I'd say that's good. Close your accumulator plug down. You want to go ahead and back your regulator out. Shut your nitrogen hose off. You want to bleed it. And remember, you can bleed it here or here, but I typically just use that bleed. Okay, you remember what the torque was? 18 foot-pounds. A lot of times what we see is accumulators may have been checked before, and whoever checked them before forgot to torque that plug, and so it actually lost nitrogen, leaked nitrogen. So pretty important step to remember is to torque that seating plug so that we don't lose nitrogen. And the other thing that we like to do is make sure that we're not leaking inside of the accumulator. And usually you can hear that leakage out of the bottom right away as soon as you start charging it. If it's empty, you got a pretty good indication that you've got a bad accumulator. Okay, 22 foot-pounds. Okay, so now we're charging the larger accumulators, right? And the larger accumulators are 2.8 liter. Yep. The smaller accumulators are 1.0 liter. Okay, go ahead and move your plug. So we want to just barely loosen this plug before we install the tool, because if we don't do that and we install this tool, that 6mm Allen special tool with this adapter, you can break that off. I've seen that broke off several times because we didn't take the torque off of that plug prior to installing our adapter tool. So what we've got here is our nitrogen bottle. We only have about a little over 600 pounds on our bottle of nitrogen, so we can only get up to 600 pounds on our 2.8 accumulator. So basically we've got to change out our nitrogen bottle. We're using a 6mm socket on the hexed part of the adapter tool. Seen a lot of these tools damaged from guys using a crescent wrench or a pair of pliers on the tool. So 6mm socket, a little 1/4 inch ratchet. One thing to keep in mind about this gauges and this little quick coupling, so if you just stick it in the coupling and don't really push down so that latches, okay, the gauge will probably pop out of the end of that and end up in the floor, and then you've got a damaged gauge. Anyway, good lesson. In Service Advisor, there's different pressure readings for different temperatures, and so we're basically checking the temperature of these accumulators with a heat gun, and then we have a chart to go by for pressure as according to what the temperature is. And so keep that in mind when you're charging these accumulators, to always check the temperature, because the temperature can change how much pressure we actually need to charge in the accumulator. So we've got the accumulators all charged, and we added nitrogen basically to the upper and lower accumulators, the 1.0 liter and the 2.8 liter. So we have our 8270R pulled out of the shop now. We've installed the accumulators after checking the nitrogen and recharging the accumulators. We're going to drive the tractor, see how the suspension works now that we charged those accumulators on that independent link suspension in the front. And I think it'll make a lot of difference. We'll see how the ride is here in a minute. We have our suspension in auto. We could change it to max, but I want to run it in auto today to see how the suspension will react to running in auto. One of the customer's original complaints was the tractor was pretty rigid as far as driving the tractor in the field, and so we want to just kind of drive it around here and see if our suspension is a little better than what it was before. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but looks like we've got pretty nice suspension on the front now. The wheels are kind of moving up and down with the contour of the ground, and a lot of times I'll take and just kind of hit the brakes to see if we have any suspension. It looks like we do, and looks like everything's working really nice. That should create a lot nicer ride out in the field. And keep in mind, you can also quick change the ILS suspension setting in the front to max. That way you have maximum suspension, okay, for different rides and different fields and different terrains. Pretty nice option on 8R tractor with this independent link suspension. A lot of guys really like that for the ride quality. So just a quick recap on what was going on with this tractor. Customer's original complaint was that the suspension wasn't working very well and creating a pretty rough ride in the field compared to what the tractor used to be. And so what we found the accumulators had lost some of their nitrogen charge. We didn't actually find a bad accumulator when we checked the accumulators, but we did find that they were low on nitrogen. So we recharged the accumulators to spec, reinstalled the accumulators. Also, the customers had some issues with the independent link suspension cylinders with leaks. And so I believe that was part of his problem too, with those accumulators not being charged to the proper charge level and causing the front end to be really stiff and not have very good suspension. And so I think we're gonna send this tractor back to the field, and we'll be checking in with you again soon on another issue. And Larry the Tractor Guy signing out.